Hello, Astrid. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah.
Right. So we were going to talk about the vitality of life, and this is as a result of the experiment we did to do with the rice. And I've got some pictures. Let me just bring it up now
hmm
of the rice, and it was amazing how after 3 weeks the rice was still clear. Right. Anyway, so 3 weeks later, the I mean, you can actually see in the video we did last time what
Yeah.
happened to them. But 3 weeks later, the one with the hands was still pristine. I mean, there was a couple of tiny little bits, but it was still pristine. And even now, after about 5 weeks, we still haven't thrown it away. But the white one is now got like a white mold on it, which is totally different from the others. Totally different. It's very, very weird. Anyway, so the result was that because we put our hands on it, it did not decompose in the same way as the others did.
hmm
And the one where Jenny was sending her ushu, 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 negative, 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 it went totally yucky, dark, and like different types of funguses were growing on it. And it was really good. Still, he was deteriorating. It was going black. It was going green. It was totally different from the others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this live video has been very amateurish by me, and I made some mistakes. And in editing, I realized that I need to change some things, and some of the information I shared earlier wasn't quite accurate. So the rise and us. So we are, as human beings, we are electrical, as I've said, but that electricity is bound to our emotions. And the when our emotions get stuck in our bodies, in our muscles, they get repressed. We repress them. Um, they interfere with the flow of the nervous system through the body, and that interferes with our emotional expression. But more importantly, from this perspective of the rise, it interferes with our electromagnetic field, which is the result of the electricity that flows through the nervous system. So when we put our hands around the rise, what is actually affecting the rise is the electromagnetic field, you could call it an aura if you like, that emanates from our hands, specifically from the center of pericardium 8. That has an effect on the rise at a sub molecular level. And in a way, what we're doing is we are imbuing it with vitality, which is occurring in two ways. One is by the electromagnetic field emanating from our hands, and the other one is by our good feelings, our smiling, appreciation, acceptance. That has a frequency of its own. Although that although that is not the most important aspect. The most important aspect is the electromagnetic influence of our energy field and the effect it has on the rise, which in that instance is to inhibit the breakdown, the cellular structure of the rise, and it makes it harder for the spores to break it down, and it almost looks like they're in hibernation mode. There is nothing for them to do. In fact, there was nothing for them to do for a long, long time, even longer than the 3 weeks. Eventually there was a breakup, but it was a different sort of breakup because the rice went all white. Quite a strange scenario. From the point of view of our ingesting, we are vitalizing that rice. Any food, if you put the food in front of you, you put your hands on it, spend 30 seconds on that, you will be vitalizing that food, which when it is ingested inside will make it easier for our bodies to break down and release the negative ions, which is what generates electricity in the body. On the other side, where Jenny was sending out her negativity, that's quite a different scenario. It is nothing to do with our energy field. This is purely to do with the vibrational impulse, because emotions, everything is frequency, yeah. Everything is vibration, frequency, modulation, call it what you will, but it all originates from the same place. And whereas feelings have got a very high frequency in relation to negative emotions have a very disjointing and chaotic, might be a better word, very chaotic energy, very disruptive vibrational energy. And as far as the rice was concerned, it was breaking up the structure of the rice, and facilitating the spores then had a field day, because it was that easy for them to proliferate and begin to break the rice down, which happened really quickly. And that was visible. You could see that. When we're talking about other people, the negative emotion, the impact of that can travel for the average person up to about 10 feet. So if you're really sort of nasty towards someone, up to about 10 feet, they will be affected. But nevertheless, there's a limit. So it's quite limited. Whereas positive feelings, they can reach another human being across the world. So it's not limited. They're different frequencies, different levels. One's very limited, the other one isn't. Clearly, when it comes to eating food, if you are in a very negative space, if you're in rage, if you're furious, the last thing you want to do is eat. And some people do. And what they're doing is they're eating the food to suppress, to introject negative emotions, to send them inwards in themselves. So like that, and it's going inwards. That's a bad mistake. If you're in a bad space, the best thing you can do is don't eat. Wait till it passes. Wait till you're calm. Because the last thing you want to do is put all that negative energy into your body, into your system, apart from what you're already experiencing. There's no need to add any more to it.
Can you ask him if there's energy, a part of it in it? Because I don't know. Can you ask Charlie about energy? If the energy of which you send out is
all right.
part
Okay.
of
Okay. Now, when you speak about energy, you're really talking about spirit. But spirit, the soul dimension, is not in this third dimension. they're bonded with each other, but they're totally different frequencies. And so the question then is, well, how does soul interact in the third dimension? And the answer to that is will. So soul applies its will, and the will affects, it's a bit like sound. You can generate a vibration with sound that can break a piece of glass. Yeah, you can create, the vibration affects other things. Am I close here? Okay. So the vibration, so what we called energy, I like the energy beyond this third dimension, is the will to move, to generate, to bring together the negative ions and to get those to interact with others and to create all manner of things. But at the basis, that's all it is. From the point of view of a human being, we're talking about energy. So we're talking about will, and is the only point of contact from the soul dimension with a human being via the heart. It is. So, and to get to the heart, we go through intuition, we go through imagination. So the soul can only affect the human being via what we would describe as intuition and imagination, which goes to the heart. So you can get a heart impulse. You can also have some sort of imagery that comes into you. I mean, I also get words that come into me. But all of that comes from the soul dimension, that it has to come via the heart. It's like the gate. The heart is the gateway. What the soul does is to harness the energy of electricity that exists in the third dimension. So what we call energy, it still comes back to the same thing. We're still talking about electricity, but you could separate it into negative ions. And that is correct. It is as simple as that. It is not more complicated. The soul dimension cannot affect the physical reality apart from what emanates through our hearts. And that is not true and true. the both positions are accurate. The soul dimension is the will behind the creation of a single atom in matter. So if you drill down to the very basics, even before you get to an actual molecule or atom, that itself we now know is filled with all well, we don't really know, but we have theories that say that there is quarks and mesons and all manner of things, and behind that. But when you drill right down to the very bottom, what you've got is vibration, which will have a certain frequency. And that vibration is generated by will. It is the will of soul. The will generates the vibration which brings those little subatomic, not even particles, because they're just vibrational things that somehow begin to interact with each other, and gradually a focus occurs from which we have subatomic particles, and eventually we have atoms, molecules, human beings. So that is the extent of soul interacting with matter at a physical level. Not here, the soul dimension is the passenger in the heart that tells the body, the ego, do this, do that, do the other, go in this direction. Not in the minutiae of day-to-day existence, because we're very clever machines. We don't need that. All we need is an impulse. So all the heart has to do is generate an impulse of you should be here to meet so and so, you should go over there, you should pick up that book. It only needs the impulse, because ultimately it is the ego that functions within this third dimension. So all the effects from the soul by the heart are simply to prod us in the way that it wants to go. Basically, it's the passenger that says to the driver, I like to go to 47 road, whatever it is, yeah? And the driver goes where it's told. It's the driver that does it. So what is the energy of the passenger? Simply this is where I want to go, yeah? And then the machine takes over and does the rest. So when we speak about energy, it's simply the will. Is the will that manifests through the heart that, if we listen, defines our path through life. So anyway, coming back.
That's what they are doing also, isn't that? The negative news all the time.
Well, actually, that's a really good point. Thank you very much. Because it is. My brother-in-law, he's looking at the news all the time, and he's always in such bad moods. And you can easily rile him up when you talk about news, because if you say something that he hasn't been conditioned to, then he gets all angry and agitated because he doesn't want to go there. He can't go there. But there's something even more important: music. The vibration of music is very destabilizing. Modern music, as we know it today, is by and large extremely destabilizing, especially since the 80s, 90s. All this modern rap.
Yeah, but isn't that because they changed the frequency with a reason?
No, I did ask Charlie on that some time back. I'll ask him again though. Does the difference between the, what is it, 440 something, between 447 432? All right. They changed the frequency of music about the 1940s, 1950s, something like that. Does that make any difference of itself in destabilizing the human psyche? No. Was the previous frequency more wholesome for the human psyche? No. So can I say that it makes no difference? So it makes no difference whatsoever. Okay. I appreciate that there's a conspiracy theory on the subject that, it sounds different. I mean, I've listened to them. I can't say that it sounds that different, to be honest. I don't think I can say it sounds any different at all, but then I'm half deaf, so that's not saying anything. But as far as Charlie is concerned, no, that makes no difference. What does make a difference is if you compare classical music, say Moonlight Sonata from Beethoven. It's
Yeah.
it's uplifting. It carries you. It sort of takes you towards your heart. But if you listen to modern music, it actually takes you down. It takes you down towards your gonads. It's it, it's actually unhealthy music.
Isn't that
It
about
is.
vibration? Isn't that also
It is.
about
It's
vibration?
definitely vibration. Definitely vibration. Yeah, it's lower vibration. It's totally focused on the second chakra. Second
Yeah, but
chakra
the
is all about.
vibration is created by the hertz. The vibration is created by the hertz they send out. Because classical music had a much different hertz frequency than the modern music.
You've lost me on that one. Okay, this is news to me. I need a cup of tea for that. Hold on, a bit of water. I need a bit of hot water. Right, right.
Yes.
Uh, all the bodies in the universe generate vibration. Everything has frequency. Everything.
Mhm.
Uh, and the reason why astrology affects us is because the planets have got specific frequencies and our internal organs resonate to different levels of that frequency. When our organs are destabilized because we're poisoned by foods we eat or drugs we take, whatever it is, emotional disturbances, then the vibration of that particular planet, when it goes around at a certain position, astrologically speaking, and it is connected with us, if the organ is unhealthy, then that frequency, when it hits it, will make things worse. If the organ is healthy,
Mhm.
when that frequency hits it, it either does nothing or it will magnify whatever good vibes come from it. Yeah. So frequency definitely affects us. We're all affected by frequency, and the planet Earth has got its own frequency. But that is different from the music that the rap people are playing, right? But the way they play music these days for the young people, by and large, I'm sure there's exceptions. There's always exceptions in everything. By and large, it is destabilizing.
Mhm. Mhm.
It is unhealthy. Un- Unhealthy insofar as it moves us away from our heart. It keeps us locked in the ego structure, in the personality. So, whenever possible, I would recommend anyone and everyone to listen to classical music. Like if you want to connect with your emotions as a way of releasing emotions so as to connect with our hearts, then listening to classical piano music or classical music. Sorry, forget piano. That's just me. Classical music, or even some of these classical operas. You know, it can transport us into places where suddenly, ooh, feelings come through, emotions begin to emanate from us, and we can use that to release emotions from within us. So it can be a very positive healing experience. Um,
Yeah, then I have a question. But what about the emotions in the modern music? When I listen to modern music, sometimes I hear a song and then I really get touched by it, and it touches my emotions. What about that? Is that a different approach of the same, or is it? I don't know.
it depends.
How do you
I
feel about
mean,
that?
it was well, I have no feeling about that, but it was rather a large statement I made, and this is why I then sort of said, well, there's going to be exceptions. I mean, and for example, one exception for me is I love music from the 80s. Um, Pink Floyd, I got a soft spot for Pink Floyd and a few others before that. Um, I'm sure there are uplifting songs in this day and age, but a lot of the songs in this day and age, they appeal to the lower chakra rather than to the heart area.
Mm.
Um, but if you just open yourself to that, I mean, I kind of go through every song and say this is a good, this is a bad one, but it's
Yeah.
fairly obvious if you listen to something whether it uplifts you or whether it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
yeah. But there is
Yeah.
there's a clear difference between the old songs, classical music from the 1800s, to what is played for the young people today. The problem is that young people are more susceptible to that sort of music because they're much more disturbed and they're not really that connected with their hearts by and large. It's something they still have to do as they grow older, and they're more susceptible to that energy. But we're sort
Mm-hmm.
of digressing slightly in that we want to know about health and vitality. And if you focus on negative emotions with regards to other people, then you're clearly sending out a vibe which is going to destabilize the other person, especially if they're not very connected in themselves so that they can process whatever's coming their way.
Mm-hmm.
Without going into details, a case in point was this morning when we did a
Yeah.
session. Yeah, there was negative
Yeah.
vibes coming your way. You couldn't process it at the time, and it destabilized you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's really common. I mean, but it happens accidentally. I mean, people don't mean to, but this is what people do. By the same token,
Yeah.
we can do that towards food. If we have a negative energy towards any food, don't eat it. If you're in a bad mood because you've been made angry by whatever's happening in your world and you're reacting and you're in a bad space, listen to your body when it says, I don't feel like eating. Yeah. Because if you
Yeah.
start eating with that energy and you're focusing on that food, you're you're going to destabilize yourself even more. So if you
Yeah.
are in a negative space, don't eat. Really go away. Wait till you're in a good mood. And to be fair, your body will tell you it doesn't want to eat. If you're in a bad mood, it'll tell you. But some people will start eating in spite of that. There's some sort of compulsion, and that's really bad news. You're better off just leave it alone, go away, um,
Can
relax,
you
come
use it
back when you're in a better mood.
the other way around to the food, which is what you say a kind of poison for your body? Can you by sending it um, these electrons, energies, whatever, can you transform it in a different so
Yes,
that your body can
absolutely,
accept it? Is that possible?
absolutely. No, you cannot
So that
transform
means
poison.
that we're able
If
to
it's
eat
poison,
everything.
no, okay, no, you've gone too
Hmm.
far from me. All right. If you eat something that's poisonous, it means that food already contains a lot of positive charge. It's got a positive charge. Yeah. So you're ingesting a lot of positive charges, whereas what you're offering with your hands as you focus on the food is more subtle than that. And I think you'd have to do it for an awful lot of hours to transform that. And that means you'd have to be present for a couple of hours. I mean, I'm just saying that off the tip of, excuse me, off the top of my head. But can you honestly say to me that you can be present here without going off at a tangent for the next couple of hours?
No, I can't.
few
No,
people, few people can. I can't.
no.
I can't. I'm
Yeah,
going to switch off here and there at different moments. Yeah. Uh, so to be present like that, it takes a lot of effort. And I don't think we have it in us. Let me ask. Okay, if I let's say what's something poisonous? Well, for me, something poisonous would be cow's cheese, because what's poison for one is not necessarily poison for another. Uh, no, actually, no. We need to choose something that's actually poisonous. Okay, I've been poisoned before by cured ham. I've gone. I won't say which shop, but I've gone to a shop. I was hungry, and I said, "Well, I'll have some of that ham." They've sliced up a few for me, or it was already sliced. Taken it away. I've eaten it. 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up because my body has said, I'm not processing this." When I was a young lad, I went to watch the film The Matrix, and when I came out, I was, wow, bending the spoon, magic in the world. I wanted to find out more. And I began to do some research, and there was Uri Geller, yeah, right, whatever. And then there were these so-called gurus in India, and some could levitate, allegedly. And there was one very famous who would create ash from some nether region to give to the poor people, to the peasants, right? But for the rich people, the powerful, the elites, he would create gold bracelets or necklaces, some sort of gold item. And it took me a little while to research that and say, this is not true. They're all fakes. Every single one of them is a fake. Because then we've got the Christians, the saints who allegedly did miracles, levitate, do this, do that. We are immensely gullible in our lack of experience of the world. And for some people, education. I mean, education's got very little to do with it, but lack of education certainly makes you more susceptible to believe whatever you're told by someone who speaks with charisma and a sense of they know better. There is no magic in the world. We live, we exist in a mechanistic universe with laws. There is the laws of the quantum realm, and there's Newtonian physics. There's a lot of theories out there. We don't know everything, but we do know that it is a mechanistic world of cause and effect at our level. The quantum level is slightly different. Throughout the generations, we've had all these people, alchemists. They wanted to transmute gold, base metals into gold. And so Astrid's question is very relevant because so many people believe in magical thinking. When you go into spirituality, you've been seduced by the stories of all these people who can somehow do magical stuff. It is all hearsay and it's word of mouth. You know what happens? You got 10 people, you say something, you do whisper to one person. By the time it's gone to the 10th person, it's a totally different story. What Astrid is hoping for is that somehow we can alter the poison into something that is non-poison. that is changing the chemistry, the structure of that item. We cannot do that by will. It is not possible. And certainly Charlie is very clear on this with me. And also in my experience, I find it impossible. I used to believe, I wanted to believe. But we need to be realistic as to our limitations. When we poison ourselves with bacteria, for example, all our goodwill to the bacteria doesn't change the fact that when that bacteria gets inside our guts and proliferates, that bacteria that comes in will release toxins. It is the toxins that rob us of our negative ions. The same thing with when we ingest an actual poison. The poison itself will rob us of the negative ions. You cannot transmute it and change it into something that is already with negative ions. This is a really good exercise for the majority of people on this earth, which is to deliberately focus on the food before you eat it. Put your hands around it, about 30 seconds, that's all you need. And you're practicing your goodwill and you're practicing connecting with your heart. People don't connect with their hearts often enough. Everybody can connect with their hearts. It's not like, okay, so maybe there's a few psychopaths out there who are totally devoid of the ability to connect with their hearts. But the majority of people can connect with their hearts, even if it's only for a fleeting second. It's possible, but people don't practice it. And, use it or lose it. You don't actually lose it, but if you don't practice the heart connection, then the communication from the soul via the heart atrophies. And then people say, well, who am I? What should I do in life? What's my mission? Where am I going? What's my potential? Well, all of that comes from the heart, via the heart. It comes via the heart, from the soul. So opening that is the most important thing any human being can do. And so we need to practice to love. Practicing how to love is so important. So for now, I'm just going to say, look, practice with your food. You put your hands around it, just goodwill. Send your goodwill towards your food. You're going to eat it, for God's sake. Send your goodwill to your food. So you do that, and you're now nourishing yourself. People used to pray. They used to do the prayer. I've forgotten how it goes. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, blah, 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 and, give us this day our daily bread. But that is very intellectual. You don't need to do all that. I mean, if you want to do it, but what really helps is the light from here, your hands, and just smile. You just smile to your food and just feel your goodwill towards your food. It just takes a few seconds, and then you eat it and you enjoy what you're eating. Opening the connection with your heart. You're practicing a little every day. Just a little every day will gradually open the road. You want to turn it from a little cul-de-sac into a motorway. Yeah, slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm.
So vitality. Vitality is totally linked to these concepts.
Yeah.
That when we are critical of ourselves, when we focus on the negatives, we drain ourselves. You're a battery. You drain your battery. The charge is leaking out because you don't know how to contain the charge in your body. That's it. That's what it is. So when we're in our hearts, we contain the charge in our bodies. It's not draining out of me. Now, often people will get drained by other people. Someone comes towards you and they've had a bad experience with someone else and they're angry, and then they come towards you, and maybe they're your boss, or maybe they're the husband or the wife, whoever happens to be in a position of power for whatever reason, and they can get away with it, and they'll just blurt out their negativity towards you, and they will accuse you of something or other, and it's like, oh, that's unfair. And now you get on your high horse, you've picked up their anger because the way they've treated you is unfair, so now you retort with your own rage back towards them. And basically what they've done is they've handed you a hot potato, and the trick is to let it go. Drop the hot potato. Someone comes to you with that hot anger, not anger, actually, is rage, but when they're dumping on you the negativity, you have to be like a matador. Ooh, ole, let it pass. Don't take it on board. Yeah, you have to recognize this person is being irrational. What they're saying is irrational. It's got nothing to do with me. That's not who I am. You have to be able to literally drop it before it gets going, because once it gets going in you, your rage will start to build. And the funny thing is, once your rage begins to build, you notice the other person, they're now calm because they've dumped their negativity onto you. Now you got to find someone to dump it onto. You got to find someone else. And so it goes on. Yeah. It's a bit like vampirism. It's a form of vampirism.
Yeah,
and
then there's
human
this
beings do
question that
this.
has nothing to do with, but sorry?
I said nothing. I said nothing. I didn't speak.
I thought you said, and so it gets on. So, but there's something delay in my receiving here. But
I
anyway,
said it was a form of
but
vampirism.
about the mirroring. Sorry, it's about.
I said it was a form. I said it is a form of vampirism.
Yeah, okay,
When
I understand that.
yeah, I am angry. Someone's made me mad for whatever reason, treated me unfairly, whatever. Now I go and I dump it on someone else, and now I feel good. Now they feel bad. They've been drained. So as you get angry, I've now drained you. So someone's drained me, and I go to you, I dump on you, you now go into a rage. Now, now I'm feel better. I've now drained you of some of your energy. Some of that negativity is gone into you. Then you'll find someone else or not, or you'll just have to stew and suffer, whatever.
Yeah, or use the red towel or something. No, just kidding.
All right. Yeah.
No, but that's something different than the mirroring aspect, in the way that someone is trying to show you something which you need to look at yourself. Because sometimes people trigger you, you get triggered by what they are doing or saying, which then is a reflection for yourself to look inside from what's happening here. But that's a different. It's something different. Yeah.
It is. Although it isn't. It's different insofar as, yes, we end up with people who mirror us or who we mirror, and so we play ping pong with each other, and as a result of that, we feel hurt, we experience hurt, we get enraged, we have all manner of emotions that happen. And we are doing that with each other so that we will wake up. Because when we say, I am doing this, you're doing this, we're just two machines engaging mindlessly. And the whole purpose behind that is to wake up, but wake up to the fact that there is a soul engaging through us. And to be in that space, we need to quiet down. We need to quiet the mind. We need to quiet the emotions. We need to connect with our bodies. But to get there, I mean, I'm describing ideal scenarios, but to get to these ideal scenarios, we have to go through this mirroring with each other where we drive each other crazy and we steal energy from each other till we get to because everybody's taking, everybody's needy. So we look for relationships where they will feed us. We're not looking for relationships where we have a surfeit of feeling energy, and so we can feed others without draining ourselves. People look for someone else to drain. They don't look at it like that. They just, oh, I'm falling in love with this, or I really love this person, or whatever. But really, they're relationships based on wake the fuck up. And they do that by driving each other crazy. In astrological terms, there is what they call retrograde, the retrograde motion of the planets, where the planet appears, it doesn't happen, but it appears to go back and forth 3 times. And that will happen depending on the planet over X amount of time. And that reflects what happens with human beings, that we have an experience and we don't acknowledge, we don't learn from it. And then it happens again. And now, we're a little bit more aware of what's happened. And we're processing a bit of it. And then it happens a 3rd time. And the 3rd time, oh yeah, I've done this before. And we move through. So there's a learning process which happens via repetition. And so there are bigger cycles and smaller cycles. So the smaller cycles, that's what happens in relationships on a daily basis. The bigger cycle happens when we say, you know what, I've moved on from this relationship and now we go somewhere else. Now, if we've actually done it successfully, the next relationship will be an improvement. If we haven't done it successfully, the next relationship will be the same. It'll be a mirror of what we've just done. It'll just be a different person, but we'll still be in the same mire of convoluted emotions and reactions. Yeah. But putting that to one side, focusing on ourselves, because that is really important. It all begins with us. We want to grow in the sense of we want to gain experience of who we are. We want to gain experience of how to be in the world. We want to gain experience on how to relate with others. Well, it begins with the simple things, like let's open up the gateway, the drive-through from the heart to the emotions. Let's begin to connect those two. So focus on the food and just feel good about that. A little bit every day. People eat what, 2-3 meals a day? Goes a long way, right? Every meal, every drink, whatever you do, anything that goes past your mouth, feel good about yourself. Just that few seconds of connection, it's enough. Now, if you can connect, if you can remember to do this with every meal and with every drink, you're well on your way. Okay, so challenge number one, can I be present? Can I exist? Can I be here? You know, I speak of a human being. A human being is the definition of being in the now, existing, being here, present. A personality, the mask, is nowhere. It's a machine. It has no consciousness. Being present is being human. So a human who is being. So if you can be present at every meal, at every drink, you're more than well on your way. If you can be present once a day, I say, great, well done. Keep it up, increase that, work on it. Bear in mind that I know I keep harping on about this, but you need to take this on board. We are machines. We really, really are machines. We're biological machines. We're clever machines. We're still machines. And machines are automatic. And what that means is that the tendency for us is that when we do something too many times, it becomes automatic. And that means we go to sleep. Yeah. This is why I laugh, because it is impossible to be awake all the time, because there's so much that we do that's automatic. The way we sit, the way we speak, the way we do things, we do it automatically. And so falling asleep is the easiest thing in the world. And the challenge to be awake is to move away from the machine to the heart, into feelings. And once we do that, we move into a different place whereby we can be on automatic, and yet we're still here, we're still present. The words can still happen in my head, but I know they're not my thoughts. I know they're just words in my head. My machine's running. I don't mind it. I don't fight. I don't fight the machine. My machine is my machine. My focus is my heart. I'm in my heart, and the machine will do what the machine does. I simply go along with it because I'm here to experience. But I am here to experience. It's not a mindless machine doing whatever it does round and round in circles. Yeah, that's the difference. And, people seek spirituality. People seek to really, they go to monasteries, they go to do all manner of things. They seek spirituality, up there, pray, meditate 100 times a day, whatever. I'm not saying meditation hasn't got its place, but that isn't what life's about. Life is about experience. And to experience life, we need to be present. And to be present, we need to be with our hearts. And it is not about getting rid of ego. It is not about having inner fights. It's literally about accepting who we are totally, 100%, and working with what we've got, whatever that is. We're all different. We work with what we have. We've all been damaged in different ways. Some people more, some less. Everybody's damaged in different ways. And, it's like a tree. The tree, if it has good soil, plenty of sunlight, good nutrients, it will grow straight and strong. But if we as trees have grown without sunlight and poor nutrients, we're going to grow warped and twisted. Okay, so we're warped and twisted. We're still a tree. Hey, I'm a warped and twisted tree, but I am more than that. I am a soul experiencing through my heart in the world. Yes, my tree is a little bit distorted and I've got problems, but that's who I am. It's part of my experience. I accept everything about me. I have no interest in changing me. Because if I want to change me, it's my ego that wants to change my ego for another part of my ego. total waste of time. It drains me. Coming back to the being energized and all of that, vitality. Fighting my ego drains me. Accepting my ego, accepting every part of me, however convoluted, keeps my charge. However, whatever my level of electrical charge I have managed to gather, I keep it. I am not draining myself beyond my means.
It's
Yeah,
vitalizing.
it is vitalizing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so we started with the rise, the negative, positive, the emotions, the electricity. But really, ultimately, where we're moving towards is, if we want to maintain our electrical charge, if we want to have a full battery, then we need to learn not to criticize, not to be negative with ourselves, and to open up the gateway from our heart. And we can do this by practicing on food. And we can do this by, you mentioned the mirror before, focusing on the mirror where we gaze into our eyes and really begin to accept what we see with soft eyes, with compassion. Because when we look deep into our eyes, we're going to see our ego. We're going to see the tortured ego that's in us.
Mm.
But we need to see ourselves from the heart. So what we see is part of us. And so we accept ourselves. Yeah. It is fighting ourselves that drains us of energy.
Yeah. We are, but that's
Yeah.
what we do most of the time, fighting ourselves.
Indeed.
I speak for myself in this case. Cannot
Yes.
speak for
Good
others, but
place.
that's what I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've made some headway that, well, I'd like to think that we've made some headway there in explaining about the intrinsic vitality within a human body.
Yeah.
That we are electrical beings, and we literally are a battery, but it's a battery that is constantly being replenished and is constantly being expended. So the trick is to expend less than is coming in from the point of view of the battery, or at least to keep it level.
Mm-hmm.
There's this concept of, I'm not sure it's true, okay? Is this concept of, well, once I am in my heart, I've got a profusion of love energy to flow out of me, and so I can give instinctively to whoever and everyone around me. And I'm going to ask Charlie, because I don't think that is the way it's meant to be. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my question is, I'm in my heart, my battery is full, and I still need to conserve my battery energy. Okay, we're still limited. We're limited by the needs of our bodies. And I still need to close my heart to those vampires that would suck me dry given half a chance. So simply because I can connect with my love, with my heart, just because I can share and move it, it doesn't mean to say that I am a fountain that is woo, all coming out of me for any all and sundry, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fountain, I'm a tap.
I I have a question about that, about closing
Yeah,
your
go ahead.
heart. Because what I sometimes hear people say is when you're really in your own space and you are, um, how do I say it, neutralized and not affected by others, then nothing will enter your space, because you radiate out your own space and you will not be affected, for there is no room to get in. And
It's
that's
not.
is
It's not
different.
quite
That's
true.
different. Okay, well, because
Yeah.
that's a
No. Hold
different
on. It's not.
approach than you say close your heart.
Yeah. No. 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 That's not what I've said. Okay. What I say is I need to have flexible doors to my heart. Okay. So rather than being a fountain, I am a tap.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got plenty to give, but I choose who to give it to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a difference. I don't give indiscriminately, because to give indiscriminately is to focus on others at my expense. You see, we have to take care of number one. You know, the first thing that I learned when I was by my teacher at the time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he was a priest. Funnily enough, he was a priest, very fond of him. And he was a Gestalt psychotherapist. And one day in private, he shared this with me. He said, you don't just give out to other people. You have to take care of yourself. You have to look at yourself and say, what do I need? You can then focus on the other person. What does the other person need? Are our needs compatible? Does what the other person need and what I need, do they balance? If I just give to the other person regardless, forget about me, I'm going to drain myself and I'm going to make myself sick,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't work like that. Because no one can be in their hearts 100% of the time. I can't. And I've gone beyond
Okay,
most
yeah.
people, and I can't be in my heart all the time. It's not possible. So,
Yeah.
there are boundaries. There are boundaries. So what we need is a flexible heart. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so my tap can give more than most, but I choose who I give to. It is my choice.
Yeah.
Simply because someone wants something from me doesn't mean to say I have to give it to them. Well, what do I need? What do I want? What's my need at this moment in time? Where's the
Yeah.
exchange? Their needs
But
versus my needs.
yeah, but what about, which I also heard people talk about, just be, and your energy will go out. Only you have to do nothing. You just have to be, and everyone or which need to picks up. What
Okay,
about
all right.
that? Sorry
Right.
for the
So I
light.
spoke about no, 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 that's fine. Uh, choose your spot.
Yeah,
So
next to the sun is turning.
it's fine. You're fine. You're fine. All right. So flexible heart, okay? We don't want a heart where the hinges, the doors to the heart are rusted shut. Mine were rusted shut when I was very young. My hinges were rusted shut, so I had to learn to open them.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't want to have my doors open for anybody just to come and help themselves. That's nonsense. I need flexible doors. We all need flexible doors. We want the doors, we want to be able to choose who we open them with. If I am with a group of people with whom I'm here to share, I've picked the people, I trust the people. Um, they're not going to go. What's the word? They're not they're not going to pee all of my parade, some sort of American slang word like that. They're not going to trample all over me. Yeah. If I open my heart, if I open my doors, I want them to be able to take on what I'm offering. I don't want someone to then suddenly do a curveball and come around with criticisms, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's just a quick example. So I need to be able to choose who I open my doors with. If someone comes to my front door and they're all angry and irate or whatever, am I going to be all with my heart wide open to them? No, of course not. That would be a nonsense. I have to choose who I open my heart to. I am a delicate soul. I'm a delicate ego, like everybody else. We're all delicate egos, truth be told. So we don't want to just be open to everyone. They'll just trample all over us. There's a lot of damaged people out there
Mm-hmm.
who are totally cut off from themselves. We need to be able to
Yeah.
protect ourselves, but we really do need to be open the doors when we're with the right people. You know, with my wife, I've said this so many times. I've Since we first met, from the very beginning, every night I focused on loving her, and for a few minutes I would focus on what I loved about her, what was great, what would make me laugh. And I would do this night after night after night after night for years and years and years. Occasionally, full moon would happen, and I would get angry, I would get distorted for whatever reason. And, she'd said something, it would, I would feel hurt, I would cut off, and I would close. I would then get irritated with her. Anyway, I would then notice that she wasn't in a very good space with me. She herself was becoming distant. And I began to realize that how close she was to me or how distant she was, depending on whether my heart was open or not. If I closed my heart because I was going into my head, she would then go distant. But
Mm-hmm.
open the doors, whoop, she'd be right in there again. So I learned
Yeah.
to realize that if I want to keep my wife, I need to have my heart open with her because she can bask in the love. And that's great. That's fine. Suits me great. Yeah. And this is what we need to learn to do with relationships. But before we can get to that point, we need to love ourselves. We need to accept who we are
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise, we want to know when to actually open the doors or when to shut them because we're
Yeah.
confused in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we practice with the food. Practice loving ourselves with the food. Start to develop that. And then if we have a relationship and we've been there for a while, we feel, this feels right, but we've got some issues here in this relationship. My stuff and her stuff is getting in the way. And yet I love her, but I'm desperate here because things are not going right. Well, this is how you hang on to your relationship. Every
Yeah.
night, you focus on what you love about this person, this human being. And in fact, it's what you love about this person. To be honest, it's what you love about her personality. But beyond that will come what's beyond the personality. But you have to love their personality as well. You know, all the because not we've all grown up crooked, right? We're all twisted. So we have to love what we see. If we cannot love what we see, we don't stand a chance in the relationship.
Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
we love
And
we love the
oftentimes we love.
twisted bits in ourselves.
Yeah, but often I remember uh, it's been a long time with since I had a relationship, but with my last friend, I remember I loved him more as I loved myself. So I learned to open
Women,
up to love
women, well,
because
women have a bad habit, and it is a habit which is based in their own psychology,
okay,
which is that they focus their love on their partner at the expense of themselves. But they do this because they love their partner so that their partner will love them back. And that is, you're on a loser there, because if you put all your love on an ego, which is egocentric, which is focused on themselves, all they're going to do is say,
yes,
oh, thanks. Oh, yeah, you love me. Oh, love me, love me, love me. Because we're all needy. We all want to be loved, right? So you love the other person, and then you do everything for them, and you go out of the way, you focus on them. They're the only person that matters. And then eventually the blinkers come from your eyes that, God, the selfish bastard, he doesn't love me. And now it's too late, because you've never done it right. You never did it right because you never loved yourself to begin with. Love yourself,
yeah,
focus on you, and then you can begin to love your partner. But you have to start with you. Anything that begins with the other person is doomed to failure. Eventually, it will. Failure doesn't mean to say that you separate. Some people stay together their whole lives in pure and utter misery, and they make each other so miserable, and yet they're bound in their misery. They can't escape from each other's orbit. Okay, so I mean, like
yeah,
horses for courses. There's so many this sort of people. But if you want a healthy relationship, it always begins with self-love. Love the warped, distorted tree that you are, and only then will you be able to love the distorted tree that your partner is. Nothing else works. And even when you do that, in that process of self-love, you always have to measure what you give to your partner in relation to what your needs are. You can't, it has to be a 50-50 relationship. What do they need? Okay, but what do I need? Meet each other halfway.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we're actually talking about vitality, and nothing's changed. We're still talking about how to have vitality, which is that if you focus on your partner at the exclusion of yourself, they're going to drain your battery.
yes,
All right. So, first of all, get your battery, make sure that you are full, and then you can open your tap or open your doors. Open the tap and give some of you, or whatever it is that you want to give, whatever feels right for you. But then close the tap, unless, you can. I keep my tap open. I keep, she's not going to listen to this. I keep my tap open with Jenny all the time. All right. Because I just shine.
yeah,
But I wouldn't do that with everyone. We have to choose who we do it with, who is safe. Jenny's safe because Jenny loves herself. She loves herself as much as I love myself. And as a result of that, we love each other, but we're not needy for each other.
yeah,
It's a different sort of love. Yeah.
yeah,
And this is how we keep our batteries full and we can give to others. Sometimes I need a bit more. Sometimes Jenny needs a bit more. We give to each other, but we're not giving to each other because we're needy. It's so
yeah,
different. Nobody likes a needy person, okay? If you're somewhere and someone sort of comes and chats you up and they're really needy, you run a mile.
Yeah.
If you can see it, if you can see that neediness, you run a mile. Anyone with a healthy sense of self-preservation would. Yeah. So first of all, we charge our batteries. How do we charge our batteries? Connect with our emotions, connect with our hearts, stop criticizing, start accepting who we are, focus on your food, focus on your body.
And your drink.
And your drinks, absolutely. And
Yeah.
it will become automatic after a while. But the idea is that even though it becomes automatic, you're still there, engaged in the process. Yeah. What you don't want is to become automatic in the sense that you disappear and you're no longer present in your actions. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've gone round in circles a couple of times around the rodeo, and I'm happy to end here unless there's something you want to share.
No, for me it's fine for this topic
Yeah.
at this moment. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Astrid. Okay. Well, anyway, by all means, if you listen to this afterwards and questions come to mind, if you put them on Facebook or wherever, we will respond. So just for now, thank you very much. Goodbye from you.
Goodbye to you all. See you next time, so thank you.